Congratulations, Magnus, on today's win.
Thank you.
All right, so today 3-0 looked like complete control from your side. Also appeared like you were on a mission after yesterday, as Jonathan to still put it up, Grandmaster Jonathan on Twitter, if we can just have that up. And Jonathan, well, Magnus certainly turned up large, green and angry today. Magnus, extra motivation for today's match?
Yeah, obviously today was crucial in the sense that I couldn't really afford to lose. Yeah, the analysis that I was upset after yesterday, of course, was quite correct, but the match really didn't get going today. I think the first game, I thought he was sort of equalizing, and then suddenly I was winning, so that was a bit weird. But yeah, in general, I played a good match today, and I think I was in control.
We felt that as well. While playing, did you, as the match progressed and developed, did you get the feeling like today you were perhaps more informed than Ding?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised by his opening choice, so I didn't really know too much more than that. This sort of position is a little bit more pleasant for white, but that is sort of the nature of the line, that everywhere white is a little bit better, and you just have to choose which line to go for. So I don't think like this came as a particular surprise to him either. But I guess at some point it became a lot more unpleasant. But again, I think, yeah, I had some like very small idea of how to play here, and I think he was slightly surprised, but I don't think it was like a big deal regardless.
Magnus, even the opening approach from your end looked quite different. We didn't see Sveshnikov, we didn't see any London. What was the idea, the concept of changing? Was it based on yesterday's games?
I don't know. I just thought after the first game it made sense to just play no nonsense, solid style, and then of course even in the second game, the first chance I got to sacrifice something, I jumped at it. So you cannot keep your instincts locked up for long, I guess. But yeah, I think that was just I just wanted to play something more or less common sense in the second game, because I felt that I would, like, if I just play solidly, I would have decent chances of winning the game even then, because he has to take risks at some point. So that was my thought process there.
That's quite interesting what you said about having an opportunity to sacrifice and then taking it. We felt that there was a pretty different approach to the entire match today, even yours, as well as what we're seeing with Hikaru and Dubov, compared to what was going on yesterday. Yesterday was just explosive from the start. How would you explain that? Do you think just the fact that today has been just so much more positional and strategic compared to the madness that we saw on the board yesterday?
I guess it's good for our mental health.
Fair enough.
I think I don't necessarily know if there's a conscious approach there. It can sometimes be a bit coincidental.
And I also want to ask you that yesterday was after a 19-match winning streak, the first match that you lost. How disappointing was that? I'm sure it was very disappointing, but also what did you take away from that match, and what did you modify coming into today's game?
Well, my takeaways were that I played really poorly in the first game and then in the Armageddon game, and apart from that, it wasn't really that bad. And then, I mean, I lost one game by basically not registering that my opponent had moved, because otherwise I think in that first splits game, like objectively, the position is fairly equal, but I felt that in practical terms, I had excellent chances to win, and then just to sit there, watch your time run out is of course madness.
Yeah, we did have some technical glitches, and just I mean, it'll be great if you could clarify that for us. Even when Ding had gone rookie two in the game that you were black, something had happened, but that was not a disconnect. Could you? And apparently, you didn't receive the move. Could you exactly tell us what happened at that moment?
Yeah, so my screen, I mean, my Zoom was clearly working, so I felt that I was clearly connected to the internet. On my screen, no move happened, and then he ran out of time, but there was no like message. There was no message like you won the game. Which when people disconnect and run out of time, they're gonna show you that you won the game. So his time went to zero, and I just didn't really understand what was happening. I felt that there could not be an issue with my connection, and yeah,
Right.
it was definitely very very weird, and it sort of affected me in the first blitz game as well, because my first reaction was when I didn't like register his move and my time was running for some reason, I immediately sort of thought there could be some issue here, and that just really messed up. That really messed with my mind.
Yeah, the perils of online chess. And I think this is something that even Ding has struggled with in the previous event massively. Even just the fear or just the thought that you could disconnect at any point really plays on you. Magnus, we have a question from our audience, but before that, all right, we have that up first. And Hanshoot asking, would you like to play for the World Championship using the set system, a best of 5 sets, each set for classical games in case of a tie, rapid, and then blitz? Isn't this something that you spoke about? I think it was in 2018 or maybe last year that you do like this set system that involves all formats for the World Championship.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought about that idea specifically, but I think, well, why not? It sounds very interesting to me.
Okay, and because you're here and we've got this position up with Hikaru and Daniel, could you also just give us your thoughts before I hand it over to Yas and Peter about what's going on in this game?
It's the kind of position that always looks a bit ugly for black, but somehow holds up. So I'm kind of my guess would be that that black holds here, but I mean that's the thing about the Sveshnikov, that in some lines you tend to suffer a bit, and yeah, so he's just gone rook b2, and it can be a question of whether you can equalize immediately. Otherwise, you might never equalize at all.
Magnus, you say that the thing about Sveshnikov is that in some positions you tend to suffer. To us, it appears like you tend to suffer unless it's you who's playing Sveshnikov. We've seen it be a difficult line for others. Just going back on that World Championship question that we had earlier about the format, in the Legends, we had Karpov and Gary also discussed the format, and they believe that the classical World Champion should be decided primarily on classical chess. But you have often expressed that rapid and blitz and all these different formats, and to be the best in that is what makes you the best in the world. What's your take on this? Do you think it should be restricted to classical play, or do you think all formats should be part of the classical World Championship?
I mean, I've spoken about this before, and I think it all comes down to what you want to achieve. Do you want to have a classical world champion, or do you want to find out who the best player in the world is? And I think that I've always said that in order to find out the best player in the world, the system that we have now is not very good. So I'm sort of fine either way, but I think that Gary and Tolia's, their opinions are also colored by the fact that they played in a somewhat different time where there were, well, first of all, there were more games, but also opening theory was not quite as advanced, and Gary did have to play. He had to face the Berlin in some games, and he didn't get anywhere, right? And that was sort of the start of just people banging their heads against openings they cannot crack at all in these matches, and that's one of the reasons why I feel that there's in these matches there's just too little room to prove that you're a better chess player. So I don't think restricting it to classical chess is good if you want to find out who the best player is. If you're not interested in finding out who the best player is, if you don't just want to have a show and continue tradition, then I guess it's fine.
Yeah, that's thank you for your insights on that, Magnus. And I'm gonna bring in Peter and Yas to just perhaps ask you a couple of quick questions about your game, if that's fine. Can you stay with us for a little more? All right. Yas, about the games.
Let me jump in first. First of all, congratulations. A good day at the office, Magnus. I didn't have any specific chess question. I'm going to leave that to Peter. I just wanted to say thank you to you personally for your donation to Kiva. My understanding is you're giving 10% of your prize fund. I think the people from Kiva are hoping you're going to win the tournament.
Yeah, we have similar interests there.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for that. And Peter will doubtlessly have a chess question or two for you.
Yeah, congratulations, Magnus. It was a fantastic performance. I don't really want to ask too many questions. We also have another game running, but the game number 2 today, it really looked like a masterpiece from outside. I just would like to ask you if you could a little bit explain what went through your mind after all this pawn sacrifice and combining with kingside attack and then switching back to strategical play with this bishop d4. From outside, it was truly impressing us.
I mean, I think the reality when you look at with computer is always going to be a bit different. But yeah, this was really a case of finding a plan, executing the plan, and winning the game. So you don't obviously get to see that very often. But I think with the computer, it's not so clear cut that this was all, well, at the very least, as easy as it looked in the game. But certainly it was a very pleasant game to play, in the sense that I just managed to do everything that I wanted.
Yasser, you have something to add?
No, I actually think that you hit it right on the head very well. And Magnus, again, today your play was really outstanding. So we're just going to say congratulations. If you would just stay with us once a bit and just give us your overall, you mentioned that you felt that if Black doesn't equalize right away in the Hikaru position, he's suffering. Share with us your approach, your take on this exact position. I think we just seen the move bishop f5, by the way.
Well, my first impression is that bishop f5 is a sign that things have gone a little bit wrong. It feels like white is very close to sort of consolidating and having a better position here, but it's very, very hard to say. And also, obviously, Daniil is is an extremely good tactician. So if there are resources, he will continue not only to look for them, but probably also to find them. And yeah, Queen D2 is definitely the move that I would have played as well, at least without looking at it in too much detail. And it's really hard to see how Black is going to fix these issues here, but I wouldn't say anything for sure, because I could just be missing something.